and welcome to the live series brought to you by Amicus Recruitment. This is the podcast that brings you insight into the life and role of tech leaders all over the world. Today, I'm joined by Adi Topaz, VP of Engineering over at Banked. Adi, welcome. So good to have you. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm great. Great to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So just for those of that might not know your work, Adi, do you want to maybe just give us a little bit of background on your role at Banked and what it is that Banked sort of do as well?
Okay. So Banked is a fintech startup. We are developing a global payment network built on modern banking rails. So Banked powers real-time payments for customers, businesses, and banks, improving the experience, the security, the efficiency, and of course the cost. So it's just a better way of making payments.
Mm-hmm.
My role at Banked, as you said, I'm VP Engineering, so that involves day-to-day work and more future planning. So day-to-day, I manage the engineering, define the processes with the leads, do architectural planning and reviews, and kind of make decisions with the teams, get inputs from other departments and answer their needs, like product, customer support, or commercial, and pretty much make sure that we are focused and we are working on the important things. When we go to future planning, so that's more long-term planning of roadmaps and adjusting to business needs. Also making sure that, that we have the correct technical roadmap to handle the reliability and security and the scale that we need. Identifying strengths and weaknesses in the team and, kind of having a strategy and tactics around it. Mm-hmm. Structure and scaling needs. And also looking after the engineering growth and identifying knowledge gaps and making sure we cover them.
So do you want to maybe describe your path to how you got to where you are today, and sort of describe your career up until now and kind of what routes you went down to get to where you are now?
Sure. I have about 20-something years in my career. So started up as an engineer for many years and then led small teams, large teams, became engineering manager and then VP engineering. Worked mostly in startups. I really liked, the startup culture and environment and, the feeling that you can really contribute and have influence. Mm-hmm. Startups in, various sizes, from really small seed startups to more mature. Mm-hmm. I also worked in various domains. So from application lifecycle monitoring, location-based services, video streaming, and for the last 6 and something years in fintech. Mm-hmm. Actually worked in a startup called Zoos that kind of provided a payments gateway. And this startup I was a VP engineering there, and it was acquired by a larger company named PayU. And then I became a VP engineering of PayU. So from a team of about 40 people, I managed 230 people across 5 sites. And after 3 years of doing that, I kind of really missed the small startup world. Mm-hmm. And that's what brought me to Banked.
Okay, that's amazing. I know, because when we spoke previously, I remember you saying that your experience of working within varied sizes of teams and things was really interesting. In that case, then, with the variation of the size of teams that you've worked with, have you kind of seen something that I wanted to touch on was being a woman in tech? So have you seen sort of over your career, like, have you come across sort of any challenges that maybe women in tech specifically might have experienced, or like have you experienced anything like that as a woman in tech?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I started a few years back. So I found myself not once being the only woman in tech, and also sometimes in the company. So it kind of makes you feel a bit different, which is challenging. Another challenge I encountered, and I think this is improving, but salary. I found myself earning less than peers who are at the same level. But I think this is really also improving, and companies tend to be mindful to that. I think another challenge, which I think is a good thing, is that women have different typical behaviors than men do. And it's typical behaviors. It's not saying that all women or all men are like that, but women, for example, tend to not say they know something until they are really sure, while men do it less and sometimes seem more confident. But I think that diversity kind of really contributes to the team. So I think these are the main challenges that I encountered.
That's super interesting, yeah. So in that case, then, if you say that it's changed quite a lot since you first started, what do you think the future looks like for women in tech?
Well, I hope we won't say women in tech like a few years from now. So it will be like we will be considered as complete equals, and it won't be a thing.
Yeah.
So I think the industry is moving in that direction. We are not yet there, but definitely I look forward to it.
Yeah, I like that. That's not making it a point anymore to the women in tech, just sort of eradicating that sort of minority altogether is or the fact that it's a minority, I should say. Okay, so have you run both sort of large and small teams in that case over your time in your career? How does it compare to sort of run a large team and to run a small team?
Well, first of all, when you run a small team, you kind of can give attention to each and every detail, and at any point in time, and kind of have hands-on full control on what's happening. As the team grows, you need to find other ways to make sure that everything is working well. So you kind of need to delegate more and grow leaders. So I think that's the first point. Another thing that you might encounter is knowledge sharing. So when you are in a small team, everybody talks to everybody, and that's how information is passed. When the team grows, you have to rely on other methods of passing information, like asset communication and documentation, and other creative ways.
Yeah, okay.
I think in terms of flexibility, in smaller teams, you can be very flexible. You can go in one direction, if tomorrow the company needs to do something else, you can quickly shift the team and to another thing, and that happens quite a lot in very, very small startups. So in larger teams, it's kind of harder to roll out changes and do these 180-degree shifts. On the other hand, if you have a larger team, you have more, and it's not only in people, you have more resources, then you can see it also as another way to be flexible. So, you know, you can shift people to work on other things if needed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I can appreciate that, to be honest. So in that case, how does that affect the culture within, say, a larger team? How would you keep a kind of balanced and healthy sort of culture within a large team?
Well, I do very much like the startup culture, and I think we should aspire to keep it in larger teams as well. So if we're talking about, for example, speed, we all know that small teams can, you know, move very fast. We want to keep that agility also in larger teams. So team autonomy is very important. We don't want teams to get blocked due to dependencies on, you know, other departments or other teams. So there are some methods how we do that. For example, you know, automations, having that kind of internal open source mentality where if a team wants to deliver a feature and needs to work on other teams' services, they can, you know, just do a pull request. We can have SLAs between teams, etc. You know. So that's for speed. Another thing that is very important to the culture is the sense of belonging, where in a small startup, everyone is committed to the cause, kind of fights for the cause. And it kind of feels like a family or a commando unit, or I don't know, however you see it. As the organization gets bigger, you kind of lose that sense a bit. And you need to work on it. So creating an identity to the team, kind of like internal branding. Also be sure that there are common goals and everybody knows them and works towards them. And, you know, other ways of engaging the teams in, you know, like social meetings, hackathons, joint projects, etc.
Yeah, that's something that came up quite a bit, actually. You know, a couple of other leaders that I've interviewed as well, they've said specifically like hackathons and things like that can be such good to like team building sort of activities too. Sorry, did you have another point there?
Yeah, I think also something that you kind of lose when you get to a bigger team is the feeling that everybody can have influence. When you're in a small team, you feel it very strongly, and that's what's so appealing, I think, in the startup culture. So it's very important to keep the engineers or everybody in the company empowered, feel like they have influence. So, you know, kind of encourage them to offer their ideas, put it on the table, help them promote them. Things like that. So make sure everybody feels that they have influence on the team and on the company.
Yeah, I love that. I like that the individual focus in a smaller team, I think, is something that appeals to a lot of people when they're looking for a new role, isn't it? So in that case, when you are scaling a smaller team, what is it that you look for in new hires? Do you have like a certain approach, or what is it? How do you sort of approach that sort of situation?
Where I look for different things, but it's kind of it can be any combination of them. Some people might be stronger in some aspect, and other people might be stronger in others. So what I look for is, first of all, the mastery. They have to be good at what they do and have passion for it. I like to see people that continuously improve themselves and the people around them. So kind of they're always searching for learning opportunities. They learn from their mistakes. They look around them and adopt new behaviors. People that are team players. So we are a team, and our success, the company's success depends on individuals being team players. Also very something that I do look for. Someone who cares about the company, about the business, and producing business value, because we are a business, we're here for a reason, and everything that we do needs to produce business value, and I like to see people who really care about that. I think also in the world today, it's very, very important to be able to adjust to change and be very open to feedback. And of course, can't go without diversity. So I'm not talking about only in gender, but in how people think and the way they approach things. So they need to be able to bring something to the team that makes it a whole. So,
yeah, I love that. I love that approach to diversity as well, making sure that there's varied mindsets and different perspectives that can all contribute towards. I like that. I like that. So when you are building a team, sort of, do you have much freedom when it comes to who you kind of get to select? What's it like having to kind of scale a team against company values? Is there a lot of do you get a lot of movement there, or do you kind of have to stick to what the company needs, or can you kind of personalize it a little bit because you're the kind of person managing these people directly? Or just tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm trusted to build the team, and what I want is the company to kind of reach its goals. So it's a balance between building the team for what the company needs for the long term, while also having the ability to answer immediate needs, because there's always immediate needs. So I think that is the challenge, building for long term while also keeping the flexibility to answer immediate needs. So there are various ways to achieve that. So just to give a few examples, so having teams be able to work on various domains, not just their own. Having the ability inside the larger team for engineers to switch for small periods of time teams if we need help in a specific domain. And also kind of keep the tech and the services, building them using similar technologies and processes, so it's easier for engineers to switch between domains. The learning curve is not that big. So.
Okay, I like that. I like that you kind of pay attention to giving your team flexibility, as well as kind of making sure that you've got some flexibility there as well. And yeah, I like that a lot. That approach is really brilliant. So in that case, I'll finish just on one kind of question that I really like to ask all the guests is what sort of advice would you have for somebody aiming to kind of be doing what you're doing, or to be in a similar situation from you now?
The first thing I would say is, just love what you do and enjoy your work. Otherwise, find something else. I think integrity is very important. So gain trust and, be true to yourself and transparent, have people around you trust you. Even if they don't agree with you, have that trust.
Yeah.
Always bring solutions. There are always, you can, in each point in time, you can point out tens of problems, but be the one that brings the solutions to the table. Also, learning and growing is very important. So you can learn something from everybody around you. It can be people you admire. It could be, your colleagues. You can learn strength. You can also learn what not to do. And be very open to new ideas and new ways of working. I think also taking ownership and also always proving yourself. As you kind of climb up the ladder, you need to take more and more ownership and drive solutions, even if it's not directly or explicitly your responsibility. Be that one that always helps and drives solutions. It's very, for me, it's very important to lead by example. So always show my team that it's possible, that I'm not sending them, after some impossible mission. I think having empathy, not in the meaning of pity, but more in the sense of kind of reading the room and understanding where people are coming from. So if there are disagreements, kind of understand what that person's concerns are and addressing them. I think surrounding yourself with people you trust and can confidently delegate. Grow these people, and you can't do everything yourself. As you lead larger and larger teams, it's impossible. You need to have these people you trust. And I think the rest you will pick up. You need to experience it.
I love that, especially about integrity and being a team player. And it's amazing how many sort of leaders and people in similar positions to you that I've spoken to over the last few weeks, and they've all kind of expressed this similar sort of stance of a good leader shows vulnerability and kind of always brings themselves onto the same level as the people who are sort of technically under them in the hierarchy. And I think that's a really important point to get across. So Adi, it's been super interesting talking with you today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can hover over the logo in the bottom corner and hit subscribe. Follow Amicus Recruitment on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok for updates. Head over to our website, amicusjobs.com, for tech news, webinars, blogs, and keep up to date on the latest Python, Golang, and JavaScript roles. I got it all in one breath there, I think, actually. Thanks so much, Adi.
Thank you. It's been great.